Hey guys, welcome back to our channel. This is our new podcast series called Open-Minded Leader Reflections. In this series, we're just going to talk about experiences or stories that we've heard, things that we've come in contact with that have influenced us in some way in the past few weeks, and our take on them and discuss them and just see if we can't have some good conversations. So I'm here with the whole Open-Minded Leader team. We have High Priest Eldon Sven. Would you like to introduce yourself first?
Yes. Hi, I am High Priest Eldon Sven Vilkes. My beliefs are mostly focused around the Morrigan from Celtic pagan traditions, and my basic philosophy is that, or more accurately, my life purpose is that I want to make the weak strong and make the strong gentle. And when I say that, I'm really kind of talking about everyone. We're all strong and we're all weak in some way or another. And so I work with the Morrigan to enlighten myself and find ways to promote that value. So my practice is mostly meditation, just doing the normal mindfulness meditation that many people are familiar with. And then when I found other spiritual practices through Wicca and other traditions, I kind of incorporated that into my meditation practice and added kind of visualization and stuff like that. And so about 5 days a week, I will meditate for an hour using tarot cards to kind of begin a reflective session, I guess you call it. And then I do kind of a visualization in which I kind of invoke the Morrigan, talk with her, and then after that I go into a sort of a trance state in which I kind of interact with the spirit world in a kind of a dream-like way. I do 20 minutes of mindfulness meditation to end that, and so that is kind of my daily practice. It's an offering to the Morrigan to figure out ways to promote the things that I believe in. So I have a PhD in mental health counseling. I'm a professor at a university in the Midwest, and I help others reflect and expand their empathy, and that's my livelihood.
Yeah. How does your profession as a mental health counselor and someone who teaches mental health counseling, how does that influence your spiritual practices and your spiritual leadership?
Gotcha. So my studies in mental health counseling have been very focused on kind of life philosophy and studying the existential theories of counseling and psychotherapy. I'm challenged all the time to help people learn meditation, and so it not only is it a practice for me personally, I'm required to some extent to teach it to others, and that helps me keep it in mind at all times.
It helps you understand it better yourself when you have to teach something, right?
Right. It helps me understand it better.
Yeah.
Yeah. You got to know it in order to teach it, right? So
That's how I feel about teaching as well, and why I love to teach so much. So I for sure understand that. Now, you talked about the fact that meditation is very integral to your practices. So what are a few of your favorite meditations?
So the first one is just the basic mindfulness meditation, which is I think for me that's the one that I really can't do without, which is I count my breaths. I breathe in I count in my head 1, and then when I breathe out, I count 2, and then I keep doing that until I get to 10, and then I start over. And eventually, inevitably, you lose track, and then I sort of say, in my mind, I notice that, and then I kind of note what was the thought or the feeling as I got distracted, right? And so the real value, a lot of people mistakenly think that in order to meditate, I must be focused the whole time. It's actually the opposite. As soon as I lose focus and realize it, that's where the value of it comes from.
That is a very great, just such a succinct way to say it. I love that.
Thanks. Yeah. Yeah. And so it's in that realizing that you get, your mind gets practice in coming back. And that's what gets me out of thought loops and stuff like that. So that's the first one. The other one is kind of, I sort of call it free visualization. I invoke my matron goddess, and then I sort of open my subconscious to receiving the messages that she wants to give me. And that comes with continued ritual and prayer and offerings to her. And it's a little harder to explain in just a few minutes. But
no, that's good. I like that. That's a good overview. So, I mean, would you consider yourself to be like a meditation guru? Like you're someone who teaches meditation, like not just, from a this is how I experience it perspective, from more than that, right? You've got like actual, education and research to back up your understanding of how to influence your own deeper levels of consciousness or become aware of them. So in some ways, you're almost like a meditation guru.
Maybe. I think I hesitate to say that because, when I think about meditation and teaching meditation, there's actually not a lot to it, I feel like. A lot of the quote-unquote teaching that I do is in a way like breaking down people's resistance to it, because it's really something anybody can do, and it's actually pretty easy to understand if you're open to it. So most of the quote-unquote teaching is more like helping people believe they can do it, and helping people kind of get rid of that resistance to it, if that makes sense.
And helping them know what it is, right? Like you said earlier, people sometimes they have this idea from Hollywood or whatever depiction in media of what meditation should be like, and so then they think I can't meditate because like I can't do that, right? So maybe they don't even know how easy and accessible meditation can be for them. So I think that might be part of that resistance that you're talking about, is just sort of like an ignorance to what it really is to do meditation.
Absolutely. So. Yeah. And most people who don't want to meditate are the people who need it the most. And, I think that lots of times people say, I can't meditate because I can't focus. I'm so unfocused. My mind is really unfocused.
And that's the point, of course.
Yeah, that's the point. Making your mind, getting your mind to a state to where you can, to where it will do what you want it to do more often. And I have ADHD myself, and that's why I do it. And I started not being focused, and I still am not focused now, but it's that the continued practice of noticing, oh, my mind is going off on a tangent right now. Let's bring it back, and then keep, continuing to come back to the breath, or, it doesn't even matter what you're focused on. It could be anything.
And of course, everyone's having trouble focusing right now because Mars is retrograde. So,
yeah.
Yeah. But yeah, so thank you for coming on our podcast. And Congratulations in your initiation to leadership. Welcome to the leadership team. What kinds of content and contributions to this podcast series do you think we can expect from you in future videos?
I'll be sharing maybe some meditation experiences I've had. I will share kind of my process for ritual, so that other people might get some ideas for how to do their own ritual and spell work and create their own daily practice. That's why among other things, what I intend to contribute.
Sounds great. We look forward to that. Thanks for coming on our podcast and introducing yourself today. And blessed be.
Blessed be.
Okay, so for our second leader that we're introducing tonight, we have High Priestess Fire Rose. Welcome to our podcast and congratulations on your initiation to leadership. I guess we'll just give you the floor to talk about yourself a little bit and then we'll have some conversation.
Hello, thank you for having me. It's nice to be here. My name is High Priestess Fire Rose, and I've been with Coven of the Open Mind for a few years now. And I don't know, maybe 5 years it's been already. I'm a practicing solitary Wiccan. I've been studying Wiccan for a good solid 10 years now. I'm not inherently psychic or any more spiritual than any other person, I believe, but I've just worked on it, just really delving into it and studying it and practicing it. So all of the practicing and the books that I've read and actively working on my practice makes me qualified to be where I am today.
Okay. And how do you work on your psychic awareness?
A lot of signs come to me through dreams, and I feel like I'm a bit clairaudient as well, so I will get messages through songs and music, and a lot of things come through me in dreams. So I might have a very vivid dream that seems kind of silly at the time, and I'll think about it later and find out that yes, it did really have quite a bit of significance to my current situation. So I've learned to really pay attention to my dreams. A lot of people get signs different ways, but for me, a lot of things come through musical lyrics. At a certain time, I'll just get a message that way that makes perfect sense to me, or by interpreting my dreams.
Yeah. How do you interpret your dreams?
Lots of times I will look up the meaning of dreams just online. I'll find out what have other people come across. What does this mean in folklore or in the past, or what have other people who have had these dreams interpreted it to be? And just by studying it and looking things up, I've learned a lot of things that way. So snakes, for example, that's something that has come to me over the years. Lots of snake dreams, lots of snakes coming to me in physical form, non-physical form. I'll be walking and there'll be a snake skin right in front of my path. Or right before my High Priestess initiation, I had 2 snakes in physical form fall out of the sky, literally in my office, fall to the floor. I found 2 live snakes in my office.
Wow, that's crazy.
To me, it's a symbol of knowledge, of being grounded, of transformation, of wisdom. I've had so many snake encounters in the middle of the northern Midwest that are just highly unusual to me. I've accepted that the snake is a spirit animal of mine, even though I still have apprehension and a fear of snakes in their physical form. I've come to accept that snake has come to me for a reason, and snake is here to stay. So I've accepted that. I honor Mr. Snake.
That's so interesting. Yeah, snakes are really awesome. I don't know why do you think that you're afraid of snakes?
I think it's just natural instinct. Everybody has a little bit of a fear of snakes.
It's just how they move, huh? So wiggly.
I mean, I think we probably should be afraid of snakes at some level, on just a biological level. We shouldn't be touching things that could bite us or poison us. But I've had to really push myself and work with my fear and making myself okay with it. I've done some sigil work at the recommendation of High Priest Ogunslav. Actually, once he talked about maybe I should make a sigil to help with my fear, and I've done that. I forced myself to go to the amphibian area of the zoo and get real close to the glass.
Yeah, that's it. You just need to spend some time with them. Snakes aren't that scary. Just spend some time.
I've asked Snake to please stop coming to me in physical form because it is very shocking. And he had stayed away for a while, and then right before this High Priestess initiation, boom, 2 live ones right at my feet. So I know he's still there, and I can't believe that's a total coincidence.
Yeah. Guess you're never going to be able to escape those occasional encounters.
Yes.
Well, snakes are just people too, okay? And I know that you'll get more comfortable with them in time.
I think
hope so. So do you ever do divination on behalf of other people?
I don't. I'm very solitary. For divination, I do like tarot cards. I do have 2 decks. One was gifted to me, which is very special. It's an earth magic deck. And another one, I had been watching a lady's YouTube videos. She's an animal communicator. And I bought one of her decks. It's an animal tarot deck, and I like that one a lot too. So I do work with a little bit of tarot. And I do have a pendulum. I haven't worked with it a whole lot, but I guess tarot is my preferred method of divination.
So what is the role of divination in your practices? I mean, a lot of what you've discussed when you talk about yourself and introduce your practices involves divination and different sorts of techniques, but then it's not something that you do on behalf of others. So it's more of like an everyday experience to sort of have an idea of what's going to happen or what's going on in the deeper levels of yourself. So maybe you could talk a little bit about what divination means to you, like in a more directly, so that people can learn from that kind of it's very wholesome sort of relationship that you have with divination.
Right. For me, my spiritual practices are very personal. It's for myself. If my family would like to be involved, they're welcome to. Sometimes they do come with me in circle. They might come with me on a sabbat if we are having a ritual. My kids are interested in full moon rituals, and they'll come with me in circle and do that. But really, it is just for me. It's to better my life, to strengthen my relationship with divinity, and it's my religion.
So yeah. So for you, it's your witchcraft and your practice of magic is a very religious experience, which is it's not the case for every witch. So it's interesting, and people will be interested to hear about your perspective on it. And so I wonder, does secrecy play a role in your craft?
To some extent, it does. I wear a pentacle on my finger. It's very discreet, small little silver ring that I have, but I'm not flamboyant about it. If somebody asks me, I'll be honest and say, yes, I'm a practicing Wiccan. I celebrate the full moon and the dark moon and the sabbats, and it's very much a part of my life. I have a permanent altar set up in my home. If somebody walks into my house, they'll see a big broom over my doorway that I've made, and I always decorate for the season, and it's a very witchy feel, but it's not overt. You would have to know a little bit about Wicca and witchcraft to understand what I'm doing. If you looked at my altar and you don't have any experience with the occult, or you might just look at it and say, oh, she's got some pretty flowers and some leaves and some corn, and think it was just a fall decoration. But if you are more knowledgeable and you really look at my altar, you'll see, oh, there's water, there's earth, there's air, there's fire. They're all represented. There's a little pentacle on there by earth. My wand is over there by air, and my dagger is by fire. And if you are knowledgeable in these things, you will see that it is very much very Wiccan. My house is very well protected, with crystals at the four corners of my property, and I do a lot of protection magic, and I have herbs growing in my windows, and it's just a very witchy cottage vibe is what I'm going for at home.
Yeah, so you're like a witchy kind of, but it's not your whole identity. It's not like you're in the broom closet, right? As they say, but it's not like your whole identity is your religion, right? At the same time. So that sounds like just like you said, like a quaint kind of cottage witch. I love it. Do you do a lot of cooking? Are you a kitchen witch, or you mentioned protection? So like what kinds of different witchy disciplines do you mostly focus on in your practices?
So interestingly enough, I don't really like to cook. I'd much prefer to organize something or decorate something or clean.
So you're crafty.
Right. But when it comes to making something like a sachet, like, ooh, I want to make a protection sachet, then I will lose track of time and get very into it. And I've got all of my herbs set up in my office here where I can make something, throw in some sage, throw in some garlic and I just, I have a lot of fun doing that. But like to go and bake some cookies, nah, not interested.
Now I'm just imagining this like drawer, this like set of little tiny drawers, and all of them have different herbs and they're all labeled. Is that kind of organization that we're talking about? Or how do you organize all of your different materials?
Absolutely. So I found, I guess my mom had this big jewelry organizer, I guess, where she'd put all her little earrings in it and stuff, and it has these little pockets and it hangs up, and I thought that would be perfect for herbs, and so she gave it to me, and so I've got all of my herbs in these little pockets, and they're alphabetized. And so if I need some plantain leaf or some passion flower, what else do I have? Peppermint. They're all labeled in here.
Oh, those are some rare ones that you just mentioned off the top of your head. Those are some rare herbs, so you must have a very good collection.
I do. I've got quite an inventory here. So that's just a hobby, really. I guess Wicca, it's my religion, it's my hobby too. It just makes me happy, and I just have fun doing all of my crafts.
It's very interesting, and not like the other kinds of witches who generally put content out there for people to consume online. So I think a lot of people are really going to be wondering, what kind of content can we expect from you in our podcast series here?
I have a lot of fun putting up my altars for the seasons and for the full moons. So maybe we could do an altar together. Maybe I'll set something up for Yule and show you, here's the little sprig of mistletoe and my fresh fallen snow. Yes. And
that sounds really fun.
All the really lovely things that I
relaxing.
Do. Sounds great.
Okay, so thanks for being with us on our podcast today and introducing yourself. Congratulations again. Welcome to the leadership team. And we really look forward to the kinds of contributions and perspectives that you're going to have for us here in this podcast and on our channel.
Well, thank you so much. It's been a pleasure.
Blessed be.
Blessed be.
Okay, so the third leader that we're going to introduce in quotation marks, because you all already know him, is High Priest Ogunslav, who has been sort of on a hiatus since we've had children, and he does all of the childcare and all of the sleepless nights, and he's very strong and very amazing. But finally, he can start interacting with his adoring public once again. So he's here to sort of reintroduce himself and just talk about what he's been doing recently.
Hi, guys. Thanks for having me on this podcast, by the way. I'm really excited to do this. So for those of you guys who don't know me, I'm Ogunslav, as she has already introduced. And I've been practicing witchcraft for over 10 years now, and Wicca specifically for 6 years now, I believe. I've been surrounded by religion and spirituality all of my life. I was raised in a very strict Southern Baptist household, and my parents and family in general were very, very involved in our church. And when I say involved, I mean like involved. Like we were going to church 4 days a week, 20 plus hours a week, both attending and teaching various classes in the church. I actually started teaching the elementary Sunday school when I was 14 years old, and I started playing in the high school church band at 16. Um, then when I graduated high school, my dreams of being a professional athlete died with my back, I decided to attend pastoral ministry college for about a year, to become officially trained as a pastor. So before I even came and met Tila and joined the open-minded path, I already had over 10 years of teaching experience and like actual academic religious leadership training.
You're really nervous.
I'm just not good at public speaking in general. Anyway,
I'm just not good at anything.
Yeah. yes.
Don't slit your wrist, Kane. What do you believe in? Nothing. Death.
That will all die one day, and then we go to the dying holes and we die.
Okay, but besides memes, which is the only thing we can seem to get you to say,
I should add that part as part of my professional title.
why don't you lean into the mic here?
Okay, anyway, I would say that my practice is more traditional with some eclectic traits. I like to consider myself a green witch, a herbalist. Can
Yes, you
can we pause it and steer?
Why do we need to pause it? I'm gonna edit all of this out. Oh my god, give me the phone. It's like a crutch. Okay, here we go. Here. Ogenslav, you are a certified herbalist. You're a certified Reiki master. Do you have other certifications?
No, besides our property being a certified wildlife
Now, you
habitat,
went to massage therapy school. You went to pastoral college, right?
Yeah, both of those I didn't attend for more than a year. The massage therapy ended up just being too expensive. I could only afford the first semester, and then I just couldn't afford to go back after that. And the pastoral ministry college was
The right profession in the wrong religion.
right. That's what we like to say. Yeah, that's how we like to describe that.
Okay, so what did you take away from your experience at pastoral college, though? Would you consider yourself Christo-pagan? Like, you're actually full-on Wiccan, though, right?
Yes, I'm traditional Wiccan with eclectic tendencies in my craft. But I have the unique perspective of being raised in such a strict Christian environment that a lot of people have a lot of bad negative experiences when they have pagan tendencies because Christianity just loves to demonize anything that's not Christianity. So we find a lot of pagans and Wiccans and witches coming from a Christian background, and I feel like having this unique background in Christianity will allow me to help people either like transition from Christianity to paganism or find some sort of happy medium with Christo-paganism, as you mentioned before.
Right.
So
You have a lot of knowledge, though, about, like, the Bible and...
right, I've read the Bible cover to cover 4 times in my life.
Oh, wow.
Which
That's more than most actual Christians, probably.
yeah, and I found also being raised in Christianity that even church staff themselves, the majority of them haven't even read the Bible once.
Wow.
So
Yeah, that doesn't surprise me, though, because it's pretty terrible.
yeah, well,
No, I mean, like, the actual writing,
oh,
the grammar, like the translation from Coptic Greek into English, like, and then the retranslations of that. It's like, I don't understand any of it. I have to sit in a sermon with a very experienced preacher for hours to really understand.
and even then, you might get the wrong translation.
And even
too,
then, who knows if
because-
we're even reading the right translation? So
right.
yeah, I mean, it's
I
a
had a buddy.
difficult thing.
I had a buddy in high school who was who wanted to be a doctor in math, and his favorite book of the Bible, because I went to a private Christian high school, so everybody was like Christian or a surface level Christian there. I had a buddy whose favorite book of the Bible was Numbers in the Old Testament, which, if you don't know, is literally the entire book is just numbers. He gives the population census of everybody who exists on the world. He gives the numbers. Literally, over half of the actual like characters that are in the book of numbers is actual just numbers and not actual like letters. It's
Wow.
insane. So a lot of books are kind of pointless.
I mean, it was written by Jews, right? So I guess that kind
Yeah.
of thing makes sense.
Does it? You're the Jewish one.
Jews are good with numbers. That's true.
Yeah. Anyway.
So let's talk a bit about your herbalism. You grow a lot of the herbs that you use yourself.
What set me on the path of herbalism really was when I moved out here. I had experience in gardening and everything before I came to Pennsylvania because I worked in a plant nursery for years before moving out to PA. So I had a lot of experience with like plant knowledge and gardening, how to keep things alive. So that helped me with having an interest in herbalism. But what really started on my path of herbology was when we moved out here. I'm not used to living in the swamp. I'm used to living in the desert where things don't grow naturally. And out here, everything just thrives and grows naturally. And we had a bunch of wild mugwort growing all throughout our property and all around our neighborhood. And mugwort, to some in the pagan community, is considered like a sacred herb, depending on their path. And I just thought it was really neat how we just had all this natural herb that has a lot of various properties and a wide variety of uses is just growing naturally. And so I decided that I wanted to learn what else was growing around us and what else could be used, what couldn't be used, because I didn't like having to go to the store and pay obnoxious amount of prices for a little jar of herbs if I could just find it in our own property.
Right.
So I started learning about the various plants that are just native to our area in our own surrounding area, and that kind of expanded into other herbs and plants that aren't growing naturally, but I still wanted to like propagate and cultivate in our property. So it kind of just snowballed into becoming a certified herbalist.
I see. Yeah, that's very cool. Now, you dressed as a pumpkin farmer for Halloween. I saw the pictures. The pictures are up. Everyone can go see the pictures. Volia's a little pumpkin. You're the farmer. That's not really a costume, is it? Let's talk about your pumpkins.
So this season we had a pumpkin plant sprout up out of nowhere underneath our rose bush because we did a ritual last Samhain after our carved pumpkin started rotting. We did this ritual to like get out pent out anger inside of us. We just smashed the pumpkins on the ground and then just left the seeds and the rind and flesh for the wildlife to eat. And so one of those seeds took and grew this gigantic vine around our rose bush, took up our entire patio area. This thing probably took up like 10 square feet of area easily, and we didn't even like mean for it to happen. It just was amazing, and I just thought it was the most incredible thing ever. So I decided to go out and try buy a bunch more pumpkin seeds and try plant a bunch more. And we had 3 different varieties this year, and because we live in the swamp and all the varieties of pumpkins just grow like a weed out here, I decided that I wanted to just try to grow every single pumpkin that exists in the world. Which,
How many pumpkins are there?
I think there's 126 varieties.
Wow.
I have a video on pumpkins on YouTube, which I know for sure I have the right number. I think it's 126. But I tell more about the story in more detail on the YouTube video if you guys want to go watch that.
So you're going to be producing a bunch of herbology type herbalism. What other kinds of content can we expect from you coming?
Right. So the new series that I'm doing is called Flora of the World, where it's just me talking about various gardening techniques, farming techniques, how to harvest various plants, vegetables, how to plan out your garden, how to plan out. It's going to be pretty much just a more hands-on, practical series that is not going to be so much of the standard lecture style that you see on our channel right now.
Okay, cool. That sounds good. And what about in this podcast? What do you think that, what kinds of reflections do you think that you're going to encounter and want to talk about? Memes, probably. Mostly memes.
Probably. It wouldn't be me without memes. So,
At least 20% of your time, I think, is spent on memes.
I mean, I have a meme for
Which
every
is
single.
significant when you spend like 75% of your time on children.
True. A very good point.
We
I don't know. I don't know what the plan is for the podcast, so I actually.
don't really have a plan.
Oh,
We're going to just be reflecting about our experiences in each podcast that we had over the week. We just
okay.
try to do one every week.
Okay. That works. I'm gonna be.
I love that you're in the podcast right now, learning what the plan is for the podcast. That's how little preparation goes into everything Ogenslav does.
Yeah. What are you gonna do when you get?
Ogenslav, the magnificent pumpkin farmer.
What are you gonna do when you average 2 hours of sleep a night?
Glorious witch from the swamp.
Yeah, desert rat turned into a swamp frog.
Swamp frog witch. You were
Yeah.
a frog all along. They have frogs in the desert, don't they?
Yeah. Well, they did, and then they all died because it got too dry. Now they're all toads.
And then they all turned toads. Well, I got better. All right. Well, thanks for joining our podcast today. And we look forward to your contributions on future podcasts. And
Thanks.
yeah, blessed be.
Blessed be.
And for those of you who are still watching, thank you. And from all of us here at the Coven of the Open Mind, blessed be.